Hello everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new preview concerning the Kranvagn because we now have access to the statistics of the tank, the tier 10 Swedish, and don't worry, it shows on Blitzhanger here that the tank is a premium simply because every time a tank is introduced to testing, it's a premium tank, but after in the future the Kranvagn will be a tech 3 tank, so don't be afraid. Let's talk about the main problem of the tank straight away, and it's probably the DPM. I thought it was gonna be an auto-loader, but it seems like Wargaming decided to put it as an auto-loader. And the main difference between both of them is that the auto-loader is the system you have on the MX-50B, for example. You shoot your 3 shells and you reload your 3 shells all at once. And an auto-reloader, so what the Kranvagn is equipped with, is the same system as the one we have on the Progetto. If you shoot 2 shells, you're gonna reload 2 shells. If you shoot only 1 shell, you're gonna reload 1 shell only. Let's talk first about the main problem of the tank, that is probably its gun, simply because we thought that the tank was going to be an auto-loader, the same system as the one we have on the T57 Heavy or the AMX-50B, but it seems like Wargaming decided to put on the Kranvagn an auto-reloader, so the same system as we have on the Progetto 65. Even if it seems a good idea at first, Wargaming really nerfed the shit out of the DPM of this tank, to the point it became the worst heavy tank at tier 10 in terms of DPM, as you can see right there. But how did that happen? Really simple. When you take a look at the time to load the next shells, you understand how bad the DPM can be if you are bursting all your shells at once. 11 seconds for the first one, 8.7 seconds for the second one, and 9.18 seconds for the third one. It's really a huge time to load shells, and I'm really hoping Wargaming will come back on their decision and maybe increase the DPM a little bit, because it seems not to be as useful as we thought the tank would. And this DPM is getting even worse knowing the time before the next shell is ready, so the time you have to add to the already existing time to load next shell is 3.5 seconds, which is quite a lot, especially at tier 10. And another nerf the Kranvagn received actually is the gun depression that went from 12 degrees to only 9. Is it gonna be enough to make the tank relevant knowing it already has a really bad DPM that got nerfed? I don't think so. It's Wargaming choice, maybe because maps on the World of Tank PC and maps on World of Tank Blitz are not the same, and therefore maybe you don't need as much gun depression in World of Tank Blitz than in World of Tank PC, but it's still a huge nerf to the Kranvagn because 3 degrees of gun depression can really make a difference on the battlefield. Finally, concerning the rest of the statistics of the gun, it's quite average and in the norm because you have good values of gun penetration, good values of gun handling and all that stuff. So at least the Kranvagn has a good handling. Now let's talk about the mobility, which seems to be an in-between between the T57 Heavy and the MX-50B, because the Kranvagn seems to have a better speed than the T57 Heavy because it can go to 40 kilometers per hour, but it's still less than the 50B that can climb up to 50, maybe 55 kilometers per hour if you're using the right boosters. Now for the effective power to weight ratio on hard, medium and soft terrains, they are quite average and in the norm, even if it seems like the Kranvagn is gonna struggle mostly in water. Now, for the last part of the video, let's talk about the armor profile. I know we already did that, but we can take one more look at the tank because it seems like Wargaming touched a little bit the armor, at least on the hull, because it seems like the turret is still quite strong. So, as you can see, the main weakness of the tank is the hull. Nothing really new here because we already know that the Kranvagn was supposed to be a really strong hull-down tank, but not really effective as soon as you see the hull. And it's the case because you have 190 millimeters of effective armor on the lower part of the hull. For the top part, it's still quite good. Just look at this, man. It goes to more than 300 millimeters of armor at the top. Why is that? Because it seems like the Kranvagn hull is shaped the same way as the Object 252U hull. It's extremely angled. Therefore, with this tank, if you are facing enemies and you can hide your lower plates but not the upper part of the hull, you need to stay straight in front of them, because as soon as you angle the tank, it becomes quite easier to penetrate your hull. So be aware of that and stay as soon as possible straight in front of your opponents to avoid being penetrated. Now for the rest of the hull, as always, it's paper all around. Everybody's gonna go through with HE, so be careful what you have on your sides or rear, because as soon as you're gonna take an HE, especially in the hull, whoops, you are gonna get penetrated and probably ammo racked, because the ammo rack is located in this area here and it's quite easy to penetrate it. Now if we talk a little bit about the hull, it's the turret, sorry, it's incredibly angled. I mean, even without doing anything, you have nearly 380 millimeters of armor all around. It's impenetrable for most tanks at tier 10, even with gold shells, and you can actually increase it even more if you lower down your gun. If you lower down your gun like this, as you can see, it can climb up to more than 460 millimeters, making it impossible to penetrate. You still have to worry about your cupolas on both sides that are probably going to be the weak spots. And I can understand why Wargaming decided to put these two cupolas here, because if you don't, the tank is invincible as long as it stays in all down, making it completely broken. Here you can see the lack of gun depression that it has. It should have 3 more degrees, but I can understand that Wargaming decided to come back on that simply because it would have made the tank completely broken, and as it's a Tech 3 tank, everybody's gonna play it if it's broken. Just take a look at the Sheridan and what happened with the Sheridan. That completely broke the matchmaking at tier 10. So I can support Wargaming opinion on lowering down the gun depression a little bit to make the tank more balanced. So yeah, overall, if we sum up a little bit the Kranvagn, we have to expect a tank that has an insane armor, but definitely not a good gun. Is it a good counterbalancing? I think it is, because it's going to be the same, for example, for the Super Conqueror, and we're going to have a preview of that when the Super Conqueror is going to be out, because Kranvagn and Super Conqueror in terms of armor are quite similar, even if the Kranvagn turret is way better. So I hope you enjoyed that review. If it's the case, feel free to subscribe, like and share, and I'm going to see you soon for a new video.